Hello, welcome to today's podcast episode. My name is Kenneth McMillan, and today's topic on May the 4th, 2022 is my reimagined future of learning and schooling. Now, anything that relates to the future is a major interest of mine. One of the sources that I looked at, I think it was a Microsoft document, mentioned that careers in technology would see the largest growth in the coming years. We're already seeing this with the need for teachers to learn technology. When schools were first switching to online learning, it was made apparent to me that there was a major gap in teacher ability. Many teachers knew their subject that they teach, but they lacked an understanding of technology. On the topic of job security, I think going forward, two of the most secure jobs will be plumbing, because I don't see how you can automate the job of a plumber, in teaching. Because what we think of as a teacher is really just someone you talk to and who shows you how to do something. So the title of teacher may start to include things like general physicians, counselors, and psychologists, and as well as the role of what we actually consider a teacher. Although I think that role is going to shift to varying degrees. So instead of these large buildings that we call schools, or a school I would hope would be more organic and community-based. It would be designed more around the needs of the individual instead of kind of this like one-size-fits-all model that we've been going off for a long time. So I'll post all my sources. That's my opening statement. I'll post all my sources at the end. But homeschooling will continue to grow. Small communities and individuals will take over for many who can afford it. Perhaps this trend will be further supported by as technology continues to advance and the international community grows and becomes more competitive. Homeschooling in the US has been growing, especially since the late 90s, but COVID, teacher burnout, and political issues have accelerated the growth. Now, homeschooling isn't really an option in some countries. It's illegal. So who knows what'll happen there, but in the US, it's legal, and it's changing the way the country is headed, I think. Anyway, so teacher burnout, half of teachers say they're quitting, but will they? An article from U.S. News, according to the U.S. News, early during COVID, quit rates were quite high, but have since evened out. But I think this is a bad sign, even if it's evening out. Like the fact that teachers want to quit. I think they want to quit, but they don't really know where to go or what to do. And as I mentioned, that may be because a lot of teachers don't understand technology, although I think that's rapidly changing, and it's just overwhelmed teachers. So let's go to the topics here. Purpose of schooling. What is the purpose of schooling? So some of the items include self-esteem, confidence, creating useful thoughtful citizens, and teaching students how to live. This is from a ThoughtCo article. What I said, if I were running, and I paired this topic with academic curricula. If I were in charge of education, I would completely dismantle everything we have. Schools should work more like trade apprenticeships. Schools should be able to make students should be able to make money from an early age. School should be about teaching students valuable life skills. If I were in the position, I would dismantle what we call subjects and core courses. I would design classes around specific jobs and tasks, almost like missions to a game, and that's where a lot of gamification would come from. For example, your first mission is to sell X amount of some product. You need to build a company from scratch to accomplish that task. I would scrap math class and call it finance class. You get a budget and have to create a company with a certain amount of cash. This would be a real-world activity. The cash could be fake, but everything around it would be real. I would dismantle what we call language arts. Instead, students might create their own movie. So they would need to learn how to write a script, film it, edit, make scenes, render the film, and put it on a digital platform. I wouldn't have subject blocks. I would just have school be like work. Students get to join a company and work on a product, although it'd be very flexible. Learning environment. This would vary wildly depending on students' access to resources. The world may be more digital, but it's tough to say if learning will be more global-based or local-based. Perhaps you would have global groups of like-minded thinkers. Will education become more fragmented? Will nations become more fragmented? We'll have to see. Teaching methods definitely based more on developing real skills and individualized education plans. So right now we have IEPs, which are usually for kids with special needs, but I think they really need to be expanded to include everybody. So every student should have their own individual education plan. And yeah, there was a video I watched from, from a school in California. The teacher, her name was Sadie Guthrie. It's on YouTube. She had these students in special ed. They were running their own cafe or coffee company with the school, and it was amazing. Stuff like that is really valuable for it's valuable for anybody. It's a great life skill. It boosts confidence and teaches people how to deal with money, how to deal with people, and it made these kids feel like they are contributing something and doing something. They had a lot of fun with it. Social emotional skills. So we already know that field trips are valuable. In the U.S., I don't know what they do now, but when I was in school, students would take a couple field trips each year. I think with COVID, that has obviously become a problem. So, especially with schools have different expenses and budgets that they can use on field trips. But with advancements in technology, students will be able to take virtual field trips. And now, because of technology, parents would be able to participate as well. For example, instead of being told by a book or video about how climate change is killing all the polar bears, students could take a virtual trip to the Arctic and watch a polar bear devour a walrus. No, but on a more serious note, like you could actually implement stuff like that. Virtual reality can play a huge role, and gamification is obviously a big part of that as well. Skills and competencies, developments in systems like Khan Academy and gamification, making sure students master a topic before moving on. Yeah, so that's really important, right? The system we have right now, just like, especially in particularly with a subject like math, like you gotta see, well, what does that mean? So how good are you at multiplication? How good are you at calculus or statistics? You miss a key component, well, you're gonna have a lot of trouble with the next subject or the next step, right? How do you learn to write a sentence in English without understanding your ABCs? So that's something that I think needs to develop. And the last one, parent and community involvement. We're already seeing community in homeschooling growing. This is good on the local level. I'm not sure how it will impact national and international cohesion. At the very least, parents and communities will better be able to monitor progress of their kids. That went on a little bit long, but I think I was able to fit in a lot of detail. So thank you very much. Bye-bye.